following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And as if on cue, my beagles start barking at the top of their lungs just as Mick Shots get started. You might be able to hear them in the background as we go along here because they're excited that it's 1:30 on a Thursday afternoon and time for another edition of Mick Shots as we get you ready for the Cowboys and the Niners. My dogs are old, Everson and Mickey, but they're not old enough to remember the good old days of this rivalry. But maybe a new rivalry can get started on Sunday at noon at AT&T Stadium. How you guys doing?
Don't even bring up old San Francisco Cowboy games. I have been getting phone calls. Hey, Everson, can we talk to you about the Cowboys San Francisco rivalry? No, I know what you want to talk about. You don't want to talk about the rivalry. As soon as I say one word and it starts with a C, hey, let's talk about that. Okay, so this is why you really called me, right? All right, I'm not even returning their call. You guys want to talk about it, I'm all in because I respect you guys. These guys, I don't know. They didn't call me when the Cowboys played Buffalo. You know what I mean? I beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl. I got no call then. You know, I didn't get a call when the Giants of Buffalo played this year. If they played even last year, come on, don't try to fool an old man like me. It won't happen.
Let me ask you. Play the Niners in the.
Here he comes, Bill.
No, I want to know. So, the rivalry, was there more than one game against San Francisco that stood out during that time?
Well, eventually that game did, but of course, what was that, Brody and was it Staubach?
Oh, back in the 70s.
Going back a decade earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 70s, and it was an amazing game. The Cowboys propelled themselves. I think they went Super Bowl that year. Big win in the Bay. Like you said, that
wasn't a rivalry back then, right? The Cowboys were just kind of arriving.
Right.
Well, that's when
and it basically
that's kind of when it started.
It basically cost Dick Nolan his job because he was the head coach of the 49ers back there in the early 70s.
Sure was. Wow.
So here we are 50 years later. And Mike Nolan, Mike Nolan, the former head coach of the 49ers, and goes up against the Niners here on Sunday.
But let's just be real now. It became a rivalry after the catch game and of course, in the 90s.
In the 90s, but in the 80s, there wasn't really a rivalry other than one game.
No. But that's the only way that he could veil his true his true purpose for that phone call, okay?
That's funny.
That's it.
And I didn't even mean to bring it up, Everson. I was kind of thinking of the 90s rivalry when I was talking about Bo and Romo here, and then I stepped in it.
Yeah, you stepped in it. But that's cool. I like talking about it because, I always tell people, if it wasn't for myself getting so tired of being dumped on about that game, I had to keep reminding people. I had to remind people that I had the 3 turnovers in that game and probably could have gotten MVP if we don't lose the ball game. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, what was Boomer, right? Boomer, what's Boomer's name? Chris Berman?
Chris Berman.
Chris Berman at that time was a local Bay Area reporter.
Bay Area guy. Yeah.
And we all know that ESPN had just started up around 3 to 4 years prior to that, because I remember I was in college when it first started. I'm like, man, this is great. And so he happened to be a 49ers fan, and he was on the field for that game, and he was just as excited as he was a player. So all on ESPN, of course, he becomes part of ESPN, and oh my God, anytime he got a chance, He'd bring it up. Oh, my God, Joe, Dwight, you guys are amazing. And I always took offense because here was my thought process. You've got a rookie from Grambling State University who was not drafted. You've got two great storied organizations. And I thought the narrative would be, Mr. Naive, I thought the narrative would be, man, they were coming at this rookie and the rookie stood up. But when it was all said and done, it was a great battle and 49ers came out. My name was never mentioned except for in regards to that picture in the end zone. And I took offense to that. I said I had a great game. Chris Berman doesn't want to say anything about it because he was so on the 49ers jock. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. So
let me tell you
of circumstances.
I was going to say, let me tell you a little story about how big a fan Chris Berman was of the 49ers. When I was covering the Super Bowl in Miami when they beat was Cincinnati, right? 88, maybe 87.
Yes,
what was it?
I was there.
88, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
And so the auxiliary
I saw
press
that last
box
drive by Joe Montana.
Right. The auxiliary press box was basically in the stands. That's where my seat was. And he and his ESPN, Chris Berman and his ESPN colleagues were about 3 or 4 rows behind me and off to the other section, right? He was sitting in the stands, outward, he's covering the game, right? Outwardly cheering for the 49ers. And I was like, seriously? And it goes back to what I said the other day. You call yourself a journalist and you're out here cheering for the 49ers? So that's how big a homer he was.
Oh, he was big time homer. I have never really talked to him after that because if I would have, I would have, articulately.
Would you have given him the business?
I would have given him the business articulately. And so, like I said, we've never talked. I have a feeling he wasn't necessarily a Cowboy fan also until, of course, Jerry comes along and you've got, these gregarious personalities with Dion and Mike and those guys. I don't think he, before that, in the 80s and 70s, I doubt he was a Cowboy fan at all because he took way too much joy in that win and he lost all of his journalistic awareness, because like I said, as far as I was concerned, I don't know anyone that had 3 turnovers, not many, that had actually 3 turnovers defensively in a championship game. And that has never been mentioned. And I think that, I was a victim of a perfect, imperfect storm, so to speak.
So that's why people listen. That's why people listen to Mick shots. You kind of get that perspective that no one else gets.
Got to get it in, baby. Got to get it in. There's my chance.
Mickey, I'm going to give you a little more perspective on this rivalry that Everson is very familiar with. Now, you didn't. When did you get to the Metroplex? When did you get to Dallas?
Who, me?
Mickey.
Middle of the 80s.
Yeah, Mickey.
Middle of the 84 season.
Middle of the 80s. And so you remember the Cowboys playing the Niners back in the early 70s when the Cowboys started first going to Super Bowls. But Everson and I, being the same age, we remember it intimately growing up in Dallas. And it was actually in the Cowboys played the Niners 3 straight years in the playoffs. I mean, just like they did in the 90s when they had the conference championship matchups against the Niners. They did it in the 70s, too. And in 1970, which was the first year the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl and lost to Baltimore, they beat San Francisco out in San Francisco in the conference championship game 14-3.
Baltimore Colts.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. The next year, the Cowboys played the Niners at Texas Stadium in 1971 and beat them 14-3. And on their way to winning the Super Bowl over the Dolphins, okay? And then the game that Everson is alluding to was December 23rd, 1972, when Roger Staubach and the Cowboys trailed the Niners 28-16 with 2 minutes left in the game. And Staubach throws a touchdown pass to make it 28-23. And then Tony Fritsch with a behind-the-leg onside kick that was recovered by the Cowboys, behind the back or however you want to call it, onside kick. Touchdown pass to win it that sent Larry Cole, the classic
rolling around
on the sideline. That's exactly right. Cowboys won that game 30-28. And that was the first round of the playoffs. They actually lost to the conference championship game that year. By the way, the other
was that Candlestick Park? Was that still in Candlestick?
I bet the first time was Kezar Stadium.
Was Kezar? Yeah, the first one was Kezar, I believe. I have to look it up. And then they moved into Candlestick after that. And here's the thing.
And they had AstroTurf, from what I recall, because Bubba Cole was rolling around on AstroTurf, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. That's right. All right. So the thing that I remember about the 30-28 win over San Francisco more than anything, and I'll even say here nearly 50 years later, 48 years later, it might be my favorite day of watching football ever. I remember growing up in Irving, it was a cold, bitterly cold day, 2 days before Christmas. And the first game of the day, the Oakland Raiders played the Pittsburgh Steelers. And basically on the final play of the game, ball batted up in the air. Franco Harris grabs it. It was the immaculate reception as the Steelers beat the Raiders. That was the first game of the doubleheader. Second game of the doubleheader was the Cowboys against the Niners. And you had that scenario in the last 2 minutes where the Cowboys came back to win. You don't get much better than that watching football. And there I
tell
was
you
as
what
a kid
now,
in Irving.
let's jump to 1982, right before our game. If I recall, that was when Kellen Winslow.
Oh wow!
Was that the time that Kellen Winslow was dehydrated?
And they had to carry him off the field after he rescued him?
Yeah, was that the same weekend?
I'll be looking it up here.
But I remember
Fouts,
watching that game on TV. I remember the immaculate reception watching it on TV, but I do not remember. See, I would have been on Christmas break from college that year in '72.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the game, and I was in our little I guess it was the TV room, whatever you want to call it. And I'm watching it on TV. My mother's cooking, and I started screaming, "Hey, you got to come and see this. You're not going to believe it." The immaculate reception. I remember that, and I'm sure I watched the next game, but I have no recollection of watching it on TV.
That's so funny you mentioned that about your mom cooking, and in regards to Bill. Of course, my number one football afternoon was December 28th, 1975, the Hail Mary. Of course, that was my 16th birthday. And so here comes the Purple People Eaters, and they had been handing it to us, I don't know how many times before that game. We could not beat the Vikings because of Carl Eller, Alan Page, Marshall. They were just an amazing squad. Chuck Foreman and those guys, and when we finally beat them on my birthday, I go running. I was the only boy in the house, the youngest, so I'm the only one watching football in the house, and I'm running around the house trying to find someone to celebrate with, and my mom is in there making my birthday cake, and she's got the thing, and I go, "Mom, you won't believe it. The Cowboys just beat the Vikings." And I'm running on and on. And she goes, "That's good, baby." And that was it. She just kept on making my cake. And it was so anticlimactic for me because this is my birthday. I had no one to share that with. And so still, it was that was my greatest afternoon of football. We finally beat the Purple People Eaters in 1975, December 28th.
That's right. And okay, I've looked up now, January 10th, 1982, the day that lives in infamy for Everson Walls. And
infamy. I like infamy. Sure, I like that, yeah.
In fact, the early game that day was Cincinnati against San Diego. It was a 27-7 final score. The Bengals won the game. But that was
So
that would be
wasn't
the game you're talking about with
that
Kellen.
wasn't the game that was a classic then, because the one that was a classic, if I'm not mistaken,
San Diego
Winslow
won the
catapulted
game.
them into they
Okay.
won that game, and that's why it was such a courageous effort.
Was this
because
the
of all 'cause of him.
So which was the incredibly cold game wasn't it Cincinnati and San Diego?
That was the one. That was the same weekend as the catch game.
Okay, so this would have been the game that was, I don't remember, and I was trying to see on Pro Football Reference, they don't have the conditions, the weather conditions.
You know what
that day.
happened? Here's what happened, Bill. Here's what happened. The week prior to that, the Chargers won that game in such dramatic fashion. The week prior to that, because they go from Miami, where he's dehydrated and everyone is just drained, and then they go directly to the coldest game in NFL history. So that was the comparison there. You go from being depleted to what 7 days later you're playing in minus 58 degree weather. So that was was a dichotomy that the Chargers had to deal with, and that's how I remember that game. That's true.
And I found the weather conditions, the official weather conditions that day in Cincinnati. It was minus 9 degrees, and the wind was at 24 miles an hour, a wind chill of minus 32. And so that was the first game of the doubleheader on the day of the catch. In January 10th, 1982.
And by the way, that
may be my worst day of watching football.
Me too, Bill.
That would be Kellen Winslow, by the way, from the University of Missouri. By the way, just throw that in.
Interesting. Yeah, don't throw in Junior. How about that?
Well, I didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, I didn't think you did.
I raised him right. I had nothing to do with Junior.
That's
All
a
right,
good one.
we're going to get a practice report from Mickey. Mickey, did you watch practice?
I did.
Okay, we're going to get that. Let's get that when we come back here on Mick Shots in just a moment.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Back to Mick Shots.
You can now support your beloved Cowboys from anywhere. Open up AT&T's Fan Zone feature inside the Cowboys app and record your personal cheer and referee signals. You'll receive a personalized mosaic and may show up on the AT&T Live FX video board during the game. As we welcome you back here to Mick Schatz says we had some encouraging word from Mike McCarthy as far as the condition of those cornerbacks at this morning's press conference, but I wonder what was going on at practice today. Everson, I wonder if there's anybody who might be able to fill us in on what was seen at practice today.
Someone had a bird's eye view, as a matter of fact.
Oh, well, maybe Mickey knows.
And I would have liked to say the Cowboys have a secondary problem, but it's not a secondary problem, it's a primary problem. Because
very clever. You must be a journalist.
How about that, huh? Wordsmith. So the good news is that Trayvon Diggs, Chidobe Awuzie, did participate in practice. We'll see how much they did. Anthony Brown, and these guys were all limited yesterday, did practice. So did Donovan Wilson. We'll see if he did enough when the practice report comes out. But Xavier Woods was on the resistance cords, and he didn't look like he was going to practice. So they really need Donovan Wilson to be ready to go, because Thompson would be a backup. And if Wilson can't go, I think the next guy up would be Reggie Robinson, and he hadn't played a down of football yet other than special teams in the National Football League. They also didn't have Deontay Burton out. He was out with a shoulder yesterday and today. Rashard Robinson, who started last week at corner with a knee, he didn't practice. And remember, Savion Smith has been trying to practice through with a cast on his hand that he broke a bone on in the game and came back and played. So, that's secondary. They're going to need these guys like Diggs and Wilson and Chidobe to be able to come in and play in this game. Otherwise, I don't know who else they would put at safety. The Parker guy, the safety, he's still on injured reserve. So, it's a little problematic back there. So they better hope Donovan Wilson's ready to go.
Okay, Everson, we talked about the COVID effect on injuries yesterday and stuff. For the life of me, though, I cannot remember back in your day this many injuries amongst, let's just take the cornerback position. I just can't remember teams going through this many cornerbacks in a season. What do you think's going on?
I don't know, but you kind of we took it for granted back in the day. I can't remember one game Dennis Thurman was hurt. I don't recall ever. I think I finally missed some plays in the second half of a Minnesota game back in 1986 or 7. I think I had to sit out the second half with a growing problem. Other than that, our secondary was always intact. Michael Downs hurt his thigh, first game of his career against, at that time, the Washington Redskins. He was out for one game, but otherwise, oh man, this is unusual. Charlie Waters, if you recall, missed an entire year, and he was in the booth after just totally messing up his knee, and he was never the same after that. He came back in '81 and participated and was my godsend, and ended up retiring after that. I was talking to Spags about this yesterday, and Spags got a little aggressive, but I talked to my son about it, and I still think that the whole thing is valid. I'm not all about a bunch of training camps and a bunch of off-season work and all of that, but I am about fine-tuning, and you have to have a timing or instinct in your head, which is what off-season is for. My son's a chef, and we were laughing about it. He was saying, if I had been in the kitchen for a while and I'm throwing around all these knives, you got to be careful if it's your first day back in and you hadn't been doing it for a while. So that could lead to injuries either to yourself or to your fellow chef mate. So those kind of things are pretty much universal. They just haven't had the concerted concentration on your technique, on your body itself. You can lift weights all you want. You can run sprints all you want. But you have to get into football mode before you start playing football. And it takes a little bit more than just a meager offseason that we had, of course, because of the pandemic.
And by the way, there's one other injury that probably should be noted. Ezekiel Elliott did not practice yesterday because of the bruise on his calf. He was on the resistance cords today, and Mike McCarthy said if he did anything, it would be working on the side on his rehab. So that'll be 2 days in a row that Zeke didn't practice. They don't really practice on Friday. It's more of a walkthrough. So he may not do anything all week, and then they'll get to game time and see if he's able to go. And if he's not able to go, then everybody's going to get their wish, and they're going to see Tony Pollard carry the ball 20 times.
Yeah. I cannot wait for this. If this does happen, Spags, I wouldn't be looking forward to it. It's tough when you're, coming in and playing the entire game.
Exactly.
It's always good to relieve someone who has set a particular tone for the game, and you come in as a change of pace. Now they're going to be prepared for you for the entire game, and most likely will make adjustments before that game is over from beginning to end. So, yeah, I don't look forward to it. I'm hoping that Zeke will come through as he always does. I hope he runs well, as he has been doing all year long, I might add. I think I want him to play because I want him to continue to get his confidence and instincts back, because it's clear that Zeke is not too comfortable running behind the makeshift line that he's dealing with, and he's kind of feeling the pressure a little bit.
Yeah, and the way I pointed it out on that is, okay, let me see Pollard get the dirty yards. Like we see the flashy yards to the outside when there's a hole there. What about when there's no hole? Is he running up the middle and pushing the pile, and instead of losing a yard, he's going to get 3 or 4? That part we haven't seen from him yet.
Well, we see that from Zeke all the time.
Well, just look at the last 3 games. Tony Pollard, the last 3, and this is nothing against Tony Pollard. I think he's got great potential in that role. But the last 3 games, I mean, if we're going to get on Zeke for not getting 100-yard games, whatever, the last 3 games for Pollard, he had 4 carries for 12 yards against Washington. He had 8 carries for 22 against Baltimore, and it was 7 for 10 yards until the last play of the game. It was garbage time. That really was garbage time, where he gave it to him for a 12-yard run that got him up to 8 for 22. And then in Cincinnati, he was 11 carries for 39 yards. Total that up the last 3 games, he's got 23 carries for 73 yards. That's just over 3 yards a carry. So, I mean...
But people don't look at that stuff. They look at
if we go without Zeke. I think if we go without Zeke, Spags, we're going to have to be way more diverse in how we use our running back in this game. We have to pass it to him more deceptive plays, more screen passes. I wouldn't make a habit of running him up the middle unless you have those surefire, quick hit plays that where you can utilize his speed and quickness.
See, I want to go one more deep. I want to see Rico Dowdle.
There you go. Yeah. You know what? I want to go one more deep. I want to see Shewo Alanolua.
I knew it. I knew he just wanted to say his name. I knew it.
Well, you
All
will
the commentators
see.
Will just.
You will see a fullback in this game, by the way, and I'll allow Bill to pronounce the guy's name. But
Kyle, well, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler on the other side, and in fact, he's been scoring touchdowns for the Niners here lately with their situation at running back, and that's Kyle Juszczyk. And the last 4 years, he's made the Pro Bowl. Now, part of that is there's not a lot of teams with fullbacks, and so that fullback spot, there's not a lot of competition for the Pro Bowl fullback spot. But seriously, to his credit, I mean, he's he is as good as they come at that position, and is more than just a fullback. Obviously, he can carry the ball, he can catch it, and he doesn't have the height that you would have that you normally see in a tight end, but as he does some tight end type stuff, which they've needed, and I'm talking about blocking. They've needed it with Kittle out, and so the second tight ends had to move up and become more of a receiving guy. Kittle is back practicing, but he is not expected to be back for this game. Now Raheem Mostert, according to the Niners, Kyle Shanahan, it looks like he felt like he would be good to go by the end of the week. So
he didn't practice yesterday. He didn't practice yesterday.
Right.
So we'll see.
The comment. Yeah,
McCarthy talked all about the fullback and how he's so versatile. They can use him in 3 different ways. He blocks, obviously. You hand him the ball, as Bill said. They throw the ball to him. So we'll see how the Cowboys adjust when they come out with a basically running personnel.
I have a question, Spags. You are always around.
You want me to answer it before you ask it? They'll stay in their nickel.
Yes! Come on, man! Come on, Spags. Come on, man. You have influence. You are an influencer. You have, boy, you're pretty good, by the way. You knew exactly what I was going to ask.
We could play Jeopardy, right?
Can we even get a suggestion in? Do they have a suggestion box there? That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I think
reach it.
I think if we can't get to it, and I think if we asked it, in a conference call, we would get, we can't be giving away a game plan for you,
Yeah, they've just been doing it every week, and it hadn't worked. I mean, come on, man. You hadn't stopped the run yet. Any other team makes adjustments, and the question has to be posed to either the head coach or the DC I don't know. Were the stories true that he's out of here after this? I've been reading. I think it's almost as if it's a done deal.
I think people are playing the odds on that one.
They put that in the headlines as if it was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, without any pure evidence, right? Or at least expressed evidence. Let's put it that way.
I'm here.
All right, it's break time. We're going to restore our communication with everybody involved, and we will continue with more Mick Shots in just a moment.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Mixed Shots.
Give the gift of the holidays. Let's take that. Take 2. Give the gift of the Cowboys this holiday season with a membership to Dallas Cowboys United presented by Globe Life. For a limited time, get a commemorative established 1960 lapel pin with your fan pack. Memberships start at just $20. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United to join today.
Give the gift of the holidays this holiday season.
I invented a word.
Hey, man. Only Spags, baby. I tell you. I love it. I love it. That's the first time. We are live, by the way. We are live, ladies and gentlemen.
And I think last week I combined Dalton with Bengals, and I think I called them the Dalgills or something like that.
Careful.
The Dingles.
Careful.
That's what they are, the Dingles.
The Dingles.
All right, I did look up we were talking about the cold temperatures on that day that will go down in infamy, or has always gone down in infamy for Everson Walsh, January 10th, 1982. The game in Cincinnati was -9 degrees, and the wind chill was -32. The Ice Bowl, the game time temperature was 13 below zero, so we've got the record on that. However, the wind chill was less than 32. It was 27, I think, at game time. But if you talk to anybody who played in that game, the wind chill was -58. So there.
Yeah, how accurate were those readings back then?
Really, in 1967.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't know if they had the same, instruments or whatever. Yeah.
I don't think Harold Taft had the same.
Finfrock. David Finfrock wasn't around then.
Which by the way, go ahead.
Yeah, Finfrock could have been around.
I was going to say, by the way, about right at 2 weeks after that game on January 10th, 1982, if my memory serves me right, one Bear Bryant passed away. And I had covered what turned out to be his last game. Alabama played. No, Alabama played. They played Illinois in the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, and it was freezing cold. And I remember after the game, there was nowhere for him to do an indoor press conference, so they had him standing on a box outside, and I mean, it was cold. And I looked at him, and I'm going, golly, he doesn't look good at all. He just was kind of ash in color, and I thought maybe it was because it was cold. Well, 2 weeks later, so it would have been January 25th, I believe, is when he passed away. And I was working in Jackson, Mississippi then, and ended up getting sent to Tuscaloosa to basically cover the memorial and the funeral of Bear Bryant. Yeah, so I've got a certificate. I got a certificate from the Liberty Bowl that I was at that game and covered it. How about that?
Yeah, you gotta keep that, Spag. He and Eddie Robinson were really close, and I don't know if they became close just because of the dynamics of each of their careers. Of course, one is a Power 5 school coach, and the other is a HBCU great. And Coach Robinson had to eventually pass up Bear Bryant. And I think he passed up Bear Bryant here at the Cotton Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Now that's I'm sure you'll look it up, William. I know you will, but I think he did pass up Bear Bryant here at the Cotton Bowl.
Prairie View?
Against Prairie View, yes, sir. The Southwest Airlines Classic. And Coach Robinson was the same way, Spags. Once they are taken away from what they love, their livelihood, not just what they love, because they both had wives that loved them and took care of them until the day they died. But when you take away your livelihood in that manner at that age, You know, it's not just the weather, right, Spags? It wasn't just how cold it was outside. I think that it was just a depletion.
Yeah, it's like he knew this was the end. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the same with Coach Robinson. It's, you know, these guys give all their lives, not just to the school, but to the kids. And you know, when you feel like there's no, your usefulness is gone. At that age, I think they just kind of give up, and that was sad. But once again, it was an opportunity to really just celebrate both of those amazing coaches.
Along those lines, another legend, Joe Paterno. It's very similar. He passed away very soon after his last year with Penn State. And Mickey, by the way, Bear Bryant, his last bowl game was the Liberty Bowl, and the year before was the Cotton Bowl, and in fact that was the first. My first year working at a Lubbock TV station, we came and covered the Cotton Bowl, and so I was and got an opportunity to be at a Bear Bryant press conference. I think I had the courage to ask a question. I don't know. So that would have been a year before he died.
So let me tell you. So, you know, it was like on Tuesday or Wednesday of the week they were going to play Ole Miss. And Tuscaloosa was only like a 3-hour drive from Jackson. So we would go to that press conference, right? And he's in one of these big lecture halls. So he's on a stage. The seats go up like you're in a theater. And he would answer all these nice, easy questions from the local people, right? And so I decided that I did the same thing. I said, okay, I got enough nerve. I got to ask this question. So I asked the question. He didn't like it. And all of a sudden, he started answering in the deepest mumbled Southern drawl you ever heard. And I don't think I understood a word he said. But he answered it, I think, right? But he didn't want to answer it.
That's the way Southerners answer questions that they don't want to answer. That all of a sudden you get real thick, you know what I mean? It's like a foreigner when they really don't want to answer a question. All of a sudden that accent kind of works its way in there, and you're like, wait a minute, what just happened to the guy I was talking to? So
yeah,
but it's funny, Bill. You bring up Joe Pa as well. He and Coach Robinson, if I'm not mistaken, they are 1 and 2, respectively, in the win column as far as college games are concerned. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think you probably are right.
For a minute, Coach Robinson had it, and then when Joe Pa passed on, they added the other 2 that they had tried to take away from him, and boom, jumped him right back up to the top. So you got the 1-2 right there, Joe Pa and Eddie Robb.
Hey, here's one other 49ers note that we probably should. I'll draw you back into actual Cowboys 49ers, right? Sounds like Shanahan's going to stick with Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins as the quarterback. And so I kind of looked up his stats, and his quarterback rating 85.7. That's not all that great. He's got 10 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions. That ain't the way the ratio is supposed to break, right? It's supposed to be 2 touchdowns to every 1 interception. And San Francisco, by the way, in their last 7 games, I think I mentioned yesterday, they've had at least 2 turnovers a game in those 7. They've had 18 turnovers in the last 7 games. And they're now, for the season, a -7. So the Cowboys are only 3 behind them at -10. They're gaining.
Wow.
How about that?
So that secondary becomes even more important. We might get some picks.
You never know.
Never know.
And I think that may be one of my predictions for tomorrow, is that the Cowboys will even things up in the turnover ratio with the 49ers. I have a good feeling about this. In fact, I said that I would look up on those. We talked about tiebreakers, and I did the math on it. And sure enough, Mickey, here's what the Cowboys need to make the playoffs. They need to win 3, and Washington needs to lose 3.
Yeah, you didn't like how the common games were looking for a tiebreaker, right?
That's it.
The problem for the Cowboys, if they just had the conference record ahead of the common opponents on the tiebreaker breakdown, then the Cowboys would be in business where Washington would only have to win 2 out of their last 3, and the Cowboys would have a shot in a 3-way tie with the Giants and Washington, but not with common opponents because the Cowboys, they ain't looking good in that common opponent category.
I kind of figured that.
In Washington.
And which, by the way, the Cowboys, when I said the plus minus is a -10 now, they've actually moved up. They're now in a 4-way tie for 29th.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
See, we're finishing on a good note.
The timing is perfect now.
That's right.
We will start. We're building up to a crescendo there, right? We're trying to just build it on up there.
Moving on up.
And so, to the east side.
The NFC East side.
So this week, Cowboys beat the Niners, and we're just going to take this 1 week at a time, okay? Cowboys beat the Niners, and Seattle beats Washington, okay? I'll give you that early prediction. And then next week, we'll be concerned with Cowboys taking on Philadelphia, and Washington has Carolina next week. Now, that's a little, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
well, but at least I could.
Are they in Carolina?
You would ask me that.
I've got that written down somewhere, but I'm not sure where. But you know what? If they beat the Niners, then I'm eligible to pick them to beat Philadelphia.
Hey,
that's right.
There you go. That's
right.
Or maybe I should just keep picking them to lose, right? Because they've played better when I've picked them to lose.
Not
true.
Hadn't
necessarily
not
translated
totally
into wins.
Not totally true. Can't go with that
one. All right. Well, that does it for a Thursday edition of Mix Shots. And we've got a big Friday ahead, our picks to click. I've already given you a preview of mine. We'll see you again tomorrow here on Mix Shots.
Go Dallas Cowboys.
There you go.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!